which we can go get. Which we're gonna go get. Let's go. Let's get that. The shadowy doctor prowls amongst the cots, eyeing the weakest patients with a dark hunger. She snaps a quivering tentacle at you as you approach. Not a step closer. Who knows what sorts of disgusting maladies you might be carrying? Yes, I'm a pox-ridden wench, I know. But I need a death certificate from you. Specifically of the short-bearded man we spoke about. His wife is in no condition to roll her chair through the swamp, so she's asked me to collect it for her. I don't simply give out the death certificates to anyone claiming to be someone's aunt, grandmother, or friend. This is a legitimate operation. She turns her back to you and rummages through a nearby medicinal closet. Now, where has that serum got to? Don't tell me we're already out. What's the matter? Out of stock. It's a shame you don't have the time to go out yourself. She tenses at your continued presence. What are you getting at? Medicine for that death certificate? I think that's a fair trade, don't you? You would barter when people's lives are on the line? Fine. You'll have your paperwork, you filthy degenerate. Clearly too angry to speak with you, she shoves a list of required medicinal supplies into your hands. So we need dragonfly wings and mending poultice. Alright. So we can make the mending poultice. Alright, we need to go catch dragonfly. God, it's disgusting in there. I didn't even realize. It's like all sorts of gross things. Alright, we need to figure out what the dragonflies need. So let's go find a dragonfly to kind of... Alright, we need a bait stick. Alright. Bait stick time. Yes. We'll do another one. Bait stick time. Gonna catch some dragonflies. Bait stick time. Get in there. Get in there. Come on. Alright. I think those are all the dragonfly wings we need. Alright. We did it. The leech stuffs the poultice into an unsanitary looking cabinet without a second glance. Clearly too angry to speak with you. Okay. Dragonfly wings. The leech takes the wings with a surprisingly delicate touch and lays them out carefully along the surface of a clear shelf. Skeeter snoot. The leech inspects the barbs before placing each of them carefully into a velvet-lined container alongside other excruciating-looking instruments. I've run your errands. Now I really must insist on the death certificate. There's no need to get prickly. I have your papers right here. The leech extends her moist arm and thrusts a poorly written note into your hands. You shake the mucus from the paper and try to decipher the loopy, illegible scribbles. You're not even sure that the leech spelled the poor man's name right, but you suppose it's better than nothing. Next time I need a doctor's note. I'm better off forging the signature myself. Alright, take it. Let's go. We don't have time for that. Let's go, cast this spell or whatever. Okay, death certificate. The humid swamp air has made the paper of the death certificate soft and damp. As you drop it into the bowl, it decomposes before your eyes until nothing is left. With the final offering accepted, the obelisks surrounding the circle begin to hum. You could hear a strange melody playing through their discordant tones. The carvings on the ground burn with renewed energy, driving away the overgrowth. You're quick to step away as you feel a vacuous force pull at the circle center. I suppose that's done the trick. Let's see what the writing has to say for itself. You rotate your head to read the glowing letters on the edge of the circle. Place the vessel of the deceased, yada yada, recite the evocation of necrodermis, blah blah, apply the canopic ointment. Right, seems straightforward enough. All I need to do now is go fetch the body of that poor fool husband. He should be here in the swamp somewhere. Okay. He's in my map somewhere? Oh, there we go. Up here. Ugh, this must be where that nurse has been dumping the surplus of corpses. I'll need to take a closer look at each one to find the right fellow. Is that stinking body? You would think I'd be able to find him among the dead here. You watch a particularly bloated fly land on a rotting hand poking out of the muck. Its disgusting proboscis probes at the withered flesh. Two globular eyes, red eyes, slowly unglue themselves and swivel to boggle at the insect. A huge slime-colored tongue lashes out and pulls the hapless fly into a gaping, toothless maw, along with the most of the sunken corpse. Well, I suppose that explains where my misplaced man went. Croak, can it be? Has a lovely young morsel wandered its way into my palace? You call this filthy bog a palace? He throws his head back, shaking the swamp with burbling laughter. Smaller frogs and newts scurry out of the way to avoid being crushed by his enormous bulk. Ha ha ha! Wouldn't you? This place is a veritable bounty of insects, and my subjects have such healthy appetites, so they will all grow big and strong. I'd eat you too, but that head of yours looks much too hard. I prefer my food to be nice and tender. Wouldn't perchance have seen an old man pass through here, have you? About yea high, full beard, dead-ish. The frog taps his fingers against a log, grinning an impossibly large grin. Oh yes, I do believe I've seen the chap. He had such a delectable aroma, and fall off the bone ribs. But I'm sorry to say that once something goes down the hatch, it never sees the light of day again. We'll see about that. I'm sure I can come with some just desserts for you. The frog rolls his eyes around and around as if daring you to try something. Here we go. You wrap a juicy-looking grub around the medicinal tablets and offer it up to the Frog King. Your Majesty, I really must find the whereabouts of that gentleman. Perhaps this small tribute will persuade you to loosen your tongue. The frog gulps down the tantalizing meal without a thought. Ah, delectable gift. Thank you, my pretty. Now, I already told you where. His nostrils flare for a moment, then he sneezes, sending specks of wet mucus flying. The frog's throat suddenly expands, filling with gas. The belch that erupts from its lips resonates so loudly that the entire swamp ceases its buzzing. You avert your eyes, but the noise and smell of the frog's explosive eruption almost knock you off your feet. Great Glinda's ghost, what a stench! The frog wobbles on its legs, looking thoroughly emptied. He teeters before rolling his huge body back into the swamp with a thunderous splash. You spot the slippery body of the husband floating in the bog water. Luckily, he seems to be missing some bits and pieces, so he should fold up quite nicely. Get him! There we go. We got him. Alright, let's go talk to the wife now. Right? Is that where we're going? Oh, we gotta go to the obelisks. Okay, let's go to the obelisk. What is this? I did not even notice this thing. What is that? Okay. The circle of power is ready and waiting for its necromantic purpose. Put it in there. With considerable effort, you unfold the husband's decaying body from your satchel and slap it down into the middle of the circle. Invisible shackles wrap around the corpse's limbs and pull it spread eagle against the ground. Strange mist rises from the obelisks, casting everything in a sickening green light. Slowly but surely, the corpse begins to levitate off the ground. It rotates to face each obelisk one by one. Oh, get on with it. I haven't got all day. You give the rotting head a good kick as it passes by you. With a gasp of stale air, the body drops to the ground. Suddenly, it bolts upright. Run! Well, hello there. Yeah. You caused me a lot of trouble, you know that. The reanimated corpse claws at his throat. Oh, sorry. Wait a moment. Near your feet, you see a disembodied tongue flopping about on the ground like a worm. You scoop it up and quickly toss it into the man's gaping mouth. Though he moves his jaw, his lurching voice seems to emanate from someplace beyond. Murderer! What? I am not. You were quite dead when I found you. No, Leech murdered me. He clutches at his hollow chest as if trying to feel his heart beating. Gave me plague, drained my blood. Leech murdered others. He swings a limp arm towards the body-filled bog. I knew there was some awful stink about that stink house. What sort of doctor infects her own patients? Check her office. Find proof. Don't you worry. I'll make sure that parasite gets what's coming to her. But you should head back home. Your wife is worried half to death about you. He turns and looks longingly over his shoulder. You can hear his vertebrae popping. Yes, late. As he shambles into the choking mist, he gives you a crooked nod of thanks. Alright! We helped that guy! Let's go talk to the leech, because the leech has some splaining to do. Let's go. Leech. Please. Please tell us what you're thinking, Leech. The leech kind of freaks me out, though. So... not thrilled with this, but it's fine. Off with you. I have more sick to tend to. Not time for this stage. While the leech is busy with her patients, you rifle through the contents of the various cabinets in her office. Mostly dried herbs and potions. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. That is, until you notice a suspicious-looking bookcase set against the wall. The books are all fake, just chopped down spines glued to a solid plank. Your fingers race across the medical titles and quickly find a loose volume. With a click of a switch, the whole bookcase swings open to reveal a secret compartment. Your heart jumps at the sight. Racks upon racks of bottled blood are arranged like fine wines. Each vessel meticulously catalogs the name, description, and age of its source. It looks like that clumsy slug's been sapping the living for years. On a nearby table, you spy a decanter half filled with ruby red liquid. You wonder whose blood it contains. A touch of salt would remind that slimy worm that there's worse things out there than bloodsuckers. Oops. Salt the leech's wine. Put it in there. You sprinkle a generous amount of embalming salts collected from the graves of the leech's victims into the decanter. As the salt dissolves into the bloody cocktail, you hear the telltale squelching of the good doctor's approach. What are you doing? Can't you see that this is my private office? I already helped you enough, so there's no reason you ought to be here. She hastily shuffles you out of the room. Now get out. This place is only for the sick. You're certainly right about that. You walk just out of sight before doubling back to hide behind a withered get-well bouquet. You peer at the vexed leech as she slithers around her office, checking every cabinet and locker for tampering. She mutters something expletive about nosy old women. Satisfied, she sighs with relief and reaches to pour herself a glass from the tainted decanter. Ah, that addition of black fever adds a certain nutty quality. Maybe it will pair well with an infusion of peat moss palsy in the next batch. She takes a sip, waiting just a moment before throwing her head back and guzzling it all down. Lovely, sharp flavor, full body too. Suddenly, the leech snaps to attention. Her limbs dart out, writhing with uncontrollable gestures. She stabilizes herself against the table as sweat pools on her brow. The decanter shatters against the floor in an explosion of glass. What's happening? The leech spasms as the tendrils of ghostly spirits begin to suck the moisture from her body. You watch as she dwindles in size, shrinking like some horrible raisin. Gimme. You inspect the mummified worm, pressing it between your fingers lightly. Drained by the very spirit she was supposed to be healing. In your fingertips, you make out the faintest of heartbeats, the soul of the leech. There we go. All right, the leech is done. So what we have left is, and the sleeping maiden we need both. So we have the bear and the ox left, which I don't know exactly how to inspect the ox's crops. So we have all three of these, so we can go to the bear now. We need to go to the brewery. Okay, let's go. Let's go in here. So we need to go where the bears... it is up there. Okay. For some reason, I thought there were... But that's where the apiary is, where the turkeys are. Not here. The bear is so angry. Give me that. Okay. So the frothing basins, we have to give it honey. And then we give it metamorphosis elixir. And then we give it the torn teddy bear. With the addition of the final ingredient, the brewing equipment is sealed and set to work. Steam hisses from rivets and its swollen metal belly clanks and rattles. Before long, the waggling fingers of the gauges and dials settle down, indicating that the brew is complete. You give a quick sniff test and recoil at the sickeningly sweet vapors. You push an empty wooden keg under the contraption spigot and crank the release valve. The brewery strains under the pressure and fills the keg with chunky, oozing fluid. May not be the finest honey mead around, but hopefully that great raging galoot won't stop to notice the difference. Alright, take that keg, let's go. Ah, Captain, I brought you more honey mead. The bear swipes up the tankard with his massive paw and tosses the contents into his slavering maw without hesitation. He licks his chops, savoring the peculiar flavor. With a sudden jerk, he bears down on you with suspicion. Say, this tastes kind of funny. What did you do, soldier? It's a new recipe. I thought you might enjoy something with a little more sting in it. Rah, you know I hate new things. I'll teach you to mess with my favorite brew, you hayseed. The bear is upon you with frightening speed. He raises the huge mace in his paw skyward, and you brace for impact. With an equal measure of speed, the sergeant leaps between the crashing mace and your head. You peer through your fingers as a great clang resounds through the camp. The bear roars furiously as his blow is magically repelled from the sergeant's talisman. The mace goes spinning out of his paw and falls into the lake with a great splash. He gapes, dumbfounded, as the sergeant stands before him completely unharmed. Ha! That'll teach you to pick on us, you big oaf. This has been a long time coming. The sergeant wags his finger at the bear. Who do you think you are, huh? You think you're so big and tough with your fancy feather hat and your big honking club? Well, look at you now. The camp soldiers gather to witness in stunned awe. Miraculously, the bear seems to shrink in the face of the sergeant's onslaught. If it was up to me, you'd be dishonorably discharged for disorderly conduct, but you're a disgrace to the uniform. You're no captain of mine. With fear welling up in his eyes, the bear shrinks and shrinks until he is reduced to the size of a small cat. And another thing, what's happening? In place of the bear's drunken grimace is the stitched smile of a doll's grin. Two button eyes stare back at the disapproving faces surrounding the little plush toy. The sergeant takes a step back to reveal the small shape of a stuffed teddy bear where the brute once stood. Your transformative potion has finally done work. Gee, I guess I overdid it. He scratches his head in befuddlement, but seems genuinely relieved. Hey, Sarge, I guess that means you're in charge now, right? Oh, yeah, I guess it does. Well, what are you all standing around for? The camp's a mess. Let's get to work. We got it. We got the doll. Far within the glassy surface of its button eyes, you can barely make out a tiny crimson flame, the trapped soul of the bear. This ought to be what that old goat is after. I hope he's happy. Alright, we did the bear. Alright, perfect. So the last one we need is the ox. I don't know how to inspect. So collect 4 scrolls for the goat, the ox in the field. So we're still at the ox. Inspect the ox's crops. The ox's crops were invigorated by powerful forces, but even the strongest stems can be withered away. Alright, let's do it. Got it. Alright, so the ox's crops. Are down here somewhere, I think. Yeah, the ox's farm is over here. So I think maybe we could take a look at them with G. Alright, so we need a withering can. These stalks don't look so sturdy to me. A good herbicide ought to shrivel these right up. That'll teach that ox a lesson about proper agricultural practices. I'll need a sturdy enough vessel to hold the poison, though. Maybe I convince that Vegetal fellow to give up that nice big watering can of his. Okay. I don't know who Vegetal is. So I think what we'll do is I think we will call it here for tonight. Yeah, I think we'll call it here for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's already, pretty late. So we're gonna, we played for about 2 hours. That's pretty good. And yeah. So thanks for hanging out with me for Wytchwood. We are making headway. We're figuring out how to get these souls for the goat, and we'll see how this goes. So hopefully I'll see you back here tomorrow. We will continue, and we'll just keep playing through until we finish this up and move on to the next game. Usual style. Have a great night, everybody, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you back. Bye.